Hey, hardcore Hog fans, Rick DeWese here. The finale of the Razorback season is upon us. I'm here with my co-host, George Waddell. What's up, Jorge Rodriguez, amigo?
What say ye, Senor Ricardo Montalbano? Yeah, I'm glad this is the last game because, man, I'm telling you, this is the one I want. I want Missouri.
We picked him pretty good last week. Me and John, we were like, I don't know if he copied off me or I copied off him, but I think I was the first to give my score, and we were both within 2 points. But look, we got a special guest tonight. It's the first guy that has been as close as I have in the scores. John Yates, welcome to the show. 2 points away last week. Let's go.
Let's do it, guys. Nice to meet you, Rick. And, of course, what a pleasure to be with George Hollywood Dell. And glad to join.
Hey, we're gonna hop right into it because it is, after all, Prediction Thursday. And it is the final Prediction Thursday. George, let's roll with it, baby. What do you got?
Hey, Rick, so the biggest thing that I want to make sure everybody knows is that I was actually born in the state of Missouri, and I have since done everything I can to disavow that. So I've got a brother that pulls for Texas, right? And then a brother that pulls for Missouri, and I'm stuck in the middle. So this week I'm looking at the Hogs doing a 31-point final to 27 for Missouri.
It sounds like you just pulled that right out of your ass last second.
No,
that was like a last second.
It wasn't even out of my ass.
That was right out of your ass last second. Don't you lie. That was like, you were like 27.
I thought about it. I thought about it before the show.
Well,
I couldn't determine if it was going to be 27 or 24, but I landed on 27.
Hey,
I pulled
that's fine. That's fine because unlike you, I haven't thought about it. John, I'm going to toss it to you, buddy. What do you have for the score? What's your prediction?
I agree with George. This one's really becoming a real sore spot. I'm pretty sure that I saw in a, magazine or something, Rolling Stone, Phil Steele something, and I think the fan poll had Eli Drinkwitz most punchable face. He's that guy. Arrogant, smarmy. I mean, Rick Schaefer thinks he's over the top. I'm going to say more hope than reality, considering that we have never won at Columbia. I'm going to say Hogs 28-27, just because we got to have our Vitas Gerulaitis moment. And I don't know if you guys even know who that is, but just quick reference, he was a tennis player back in the 80s. And he had lost to like John McEnroe like 17 straight times. Finally, in some tournament, he finally beat him. And, the announcer guy afterwards, like, Vitas, what do you have to say? And, look straight in the camera, and he's like, nobody beat Gerulaitis 8 times in a row. That's where we're at. We need to have that moment.
Hey, Vitas Gerulaitis carried an Adidas tennis racket, just so you know. Hey, so listen, here's what I'll say. I am so freaking tired of Missouri. I'm so freaking tired of playing Missouri. I'm just going to give it to you. 35-28. Hogs win. We're going to score early. We're going to win it. I'm tired of it. We're going to take the boot home. Let's go home.
Yeah,
absolutely. We don't even know what trophy it is anymore.
Yeah, we sure don't. I mean, hell, and we haven't seen the trophy in how many years? I think we're 8-2 since they've joined the conference. And I remember growing up and learning about Missouri football. It was always just the preamble to Missouri basketball because, you always kind of considered Missouri a basketball school. And plus they were in the conference with Oklahoma and Nebraska and, so they always kind of took it on the chin. But what Drinkwitz has done with this program, I am pretty impressed because he's come in and and made them a good football team. They're not gonna be in the upper tier this year, but they've been to the SEC championship game at least 2 or 3 times. So that's what really impresses me is that, even a team like Missouri can compete in the SEC. And so that kind of gives me hope for Arkansas, to be honest.
Yeah. Listen, my man David Basil started this rivalry and bought this trophy like 15 years ago. I think he spent 45 grand. It's a badass trophy. Now, we haven't seen it since Sam Pittman's first year. And y'all might remember when he lined up all the trophies and he left them in the middle of the floor the entire time. And for people to walk right past and have pictures made with right in the lobby. Now we're getting to that point where he needs to gather those trophies back up and make a statement again. And he's got the right coaching staff to do it.
I agree 100%. I don't know what the temperature in Arkansas is over his coaching status, but right now I think it would be best if we held on to this guy, because I really think that he's kind of that more CEO kind of guy that can do PR better than just your regular football coach. I like Sam Pittman. I think that he's victim to being the Arkansas coach, not us being the victim to him being a coach, because it is a super big challenge when you look at our schedule every year to be the Razorback football coach, because you're going to lose at least 4 or 5 games in a good year. So I like Sam Pittman. I like his style of football. I like the fact that he can put together a good team of coaches. And I just think that there's challenges that the Arkansas program has, being in where our base recruiting is 3.5 million, mostly rural schools. And when we have to build our, nationally and go after big time athletes outside the state, we're in the SEC. So that gives us a little bit of advantage, but so is everybody else. And they have bigger states and bigger recruiting pools. So,
yeah. Hey, I've got a question for John. Last week, everybody else and their dog, I don't know how many hundreds of scores I got just outside of Facebook, was 52, 48, all these high scores. Everything was out of control. George, however, and I and you were down fairly low. I mean, we were in the 30s. I mean, what put you in that score that you picked? Because it seemed like it was me, you, and George that were the closest. And everybody else had these ridiculous scores.
Yeah, I mean, it simply came down to just looking to see what Louisiana Tech's track record was for the season. And there weren't folks scoring a lot of points on them. I'm not sure what their highest point total was. I don't think anybody's gotten the 40s in them all year. Maybe one. And I know our offense can be, you guys know, rarely is it clicking for 4 quarters. And I'm thinking fairly stubborn defense. Fans, are not, hunting weekends. I'm like, this could be the weekend where we kind of start slow, and then, fortunately we got it together going. And so that was kind of where that came from, just that thought process.
Well, it probably could have gotten to that score that all these other people picked if we hadn't had the opening touchdown call back. If we hadn't had the 87-yard whatever call back, if there wasn't a penalty on 30-something yard, I mean, every time I turned around, I thought, well, where's the flag? See, it could have been a blowout. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, it's all about what you predict, and you and I picked it as close as you can get.
We were pretty. Hey, Rick, any truth to the rumor that the folks from Guinness, and not the beer company, but the company are going to be there for the game, just in case Arkansas doesn't shatter the all-time record for running into the punt returner?
Yeah.
How many times has that happened?
I mean, every time.
How
many times do we need a guy to run into our own?
I know, it's ridiculous. Well, and the keys to the game this week, surprise, surprise, are limit the turnovers, limit the penalties, and win special teams. I mean, really? That's how you win a football game.
Well, I mean, the frustrating part is turnovers.
Yes.
We just can't get away from turnovers. And, you know, I didn't have a problem. I don't have a problem with our punt team, really, to be honest with you. I got a problem with the field goal team. They've gotten a lot better, don't get me wrong. The punt return, I mean, Satane is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But we certainly don't need dumbasses sliding towards him and running into him. That's unexcusable. And like I said, if Petrino doesn't at some point this year go kick that special teams coach ass, then I'll be very surprised.
Yeah.
I mean,
short timer for sure.
I mean, it's time that he just kicks his ass because you're causing me problems, buddy. And every time you cause me a problem, I want to go over and kick your ass right on the sideline.
Yeah, we very well may have had a shutout. Had that, I mean, it was 28-0. We were the return about midfield when that happened, and of course they promptly went down and scored a touchdown after we did that.
But just think about the first two games.
No,
and I don't even want to. I'm not going back. I'm done with it. But like I said, if the headline comes out that Petrino kicked that dude's ass after he gets fired, I will not disagree with any part of what happened. Just saying.
Yeah, he needs to have the Coach Harris moment, or John Goodman from Revenge of the Nerds, where he's, you just got. I mean, just roll the hat and
yeah, I guarantee it. I mean, come on, dude, you need to get your shit together. I mean, listen, I'm running a good offense. The defense is doing what it's supposed to do. Where in the hell are you at?
No doubt.
I mean, go up with your team for God's sakes.
Well,
I'm even lending you some of my players to make the best of the special teams. I'm not going to lend them to you anymore if you keep fucking it up.
Good point.
Sorry, that's my first cuss word ever on Hardcore Hog. By God,
That's
But
what
back
I
it up
mean.
and edit it.
it's a good one. It's a good one. Just because you went out live on YouTube, that's fine.
I get
we'll-
frustrated. I get frustrated.
Yeah, we can take all the fucking out we want. So, hey, just a few things about Missouri that I did actually research. They are perfect at home this year, so we can screw that up.
I don't give a shit.
They have victories over Oklahoma. Big deal.
Okay, big deal. Big fucking deal. Now, big deal. Oklahoma sucks.
And
What else?
Mississippi State. They got
Okay, there's a big one. Oh, yeah.
They can say the same thing about us, but they lost to A&M, Alabama, and South Carolina.
Okay, so they won all the patsies at home, and
Drinkowitz talking crap to the Mississippi State players.
I didn't
Listen.
get that.
Did you guys see Drinkowitz talking crap to the Mississippi State players last week at the end of the game?
No, I didn't.
During the game, he told four on him again.
no, I did.
More colorful language.
Listen. My wife might probably watch this because I mean she's a little bit involved and she knows a whole lot more about everything than I do. But if there's any coach in the SEC that she dislikes the most, and I'm being very kind right now, it would be Dirkowitz is what we would say. Dirkowitz is the biggest fucking idiot in college football. Now listen, Lane Kiffin is a close second, but I actually like that guy. So there's good coaches and there's not good coaches. And Drinkowitz do not like that guy. And neither does my wife. So if my wife doesn't like him, I don't like him. Period.
That is a safe bet. So
That's exactly right.
Drinkowitz is wasn't he considered for the
Oh my
Arkansas?
God. Hey, speaking of, my wife just walked in. She loves and she wants to talk about Drinkowitz.
Okay.
Yeah. Come here. I need you to talk about your favorite coach. Just one comment. Here we go. We're going to get one comment about her favorite coach.
All right.
Here we go. Who is your favorite coach in the SEC? Probably not Dorkwood. See, I told you. Yeah. Dorkinwich called him Talon instead of Talon. Dorkwich. Come here, you got to talk about him. We're on the Dorkwich conversation. Listen, you got as much footage with Holly DeWese ever gonna get in your lifetime.
I am in shock.
I mean, she showed up on the show.
I
Come
know.
on. Now, do you have anything else to say about Missouri, please? It's like having Stella.
It's
Come here.
like, yeah, what's her prediction? That's what I want to know.
Come here. We're on a clock. Let's go. Come here. I know you know what to say. Well, that's all you get, boys and girls.
Love
You
it.
did get a little bit of Holly DeWese, and let me tell
I
you
love
something. Hey, what you just saw, that person you just saw, is probably one of the most educated SEC football minds, and George can back this up. She knows more about SEC football than we've forgotten in the last 20 years. I promise you. She's one of the best, and she would not give us any more time. That's what, hey,
Well,
it
I
costs
was
money.
about to say, she's got so much talent, it's pay to play. Yeah. She understands the NIL rules. So
We're free. I dare not try to make her share her talents on live a podcast for sure.
That's like giving it away for free. Yeah. It's like the Joker.
Yeah, John, you have no idea. Our TVs do not waver from any kind of football, SEC, NFL. My wife is a savant, so to speak, when it comes to anything football.
That is true. That is true.
Heck, that's awesome. How to marry?
Oh, no. Oh, it's good until, like, I feel like I do a pretty good job. I'm not a patch on the ass of that girl right there. I mean, she has more information. She follows these recruits before they ever get to college football. So she knows them before they get here. And so I'm like studying them while they're college football players, right? Well, at the end of the day, she's been studying them since they were in high school. So, I mean, she already knows their mother's name, their father's name, she's a senseless bank of information you would not believe.
He in philology. Whoa.
I don't even there's no game show that you can put her on that she won't win if it comes to football trivia. I can promise you that.
Do you just plug her in like with a USB port and that just downloads all the data?
I can be like, oh, hey, Holly, if we're watching NFL, I'll be like, hey, Holly, where did he play college football? Oh, he played here, then here. Hey, where did he play high school football? Oh, he played at such and such in Jackson, Mississippi.
Well, and now, she knows where they transferred from and when they transferred to, their background, how much money they made in NIL.
What car they drive. I mean, trust me, I know. It's a senseless vault of information.
Yeah.
Is she keeping on the NIL money in our schools?
Hey, she can tell you. She knows how much everybody makes everywhere. It's unbelievable. I don't know where the capacity for that type of information comes from, but by God, she absorbs it like a sponge.
Yeah, I don't either, but a lot of it just may have to do with growing up in Arkansas and just being a rabid Razorback fan, a hardcore hog,
That's right. Well, you could do a podcast with her, and I promise you, whoever does the podcast with her would be intimidated.
Well, if you're
by
ever
the information that she's going to spew.
Yeah, if you're ever sick, we'll have her on in your stead.
Yeah, good luck. You can ask her any question you want on the fly. You're ready to go.
Yeah, so if we win this game, Rick, we're 7-6, right? You're 7-5, right? And then we have a chance to go 8-5 if we win the bowl game, which should be a breeze. But 8-5 after this season,
can't beat it. Can't beat it.
I mean, we didn't predict it, so we were more 7-6, and that was a hope to be 7-6, but that Tennessee win really kind of turned things for us.
Yeah, we win.
All right. Hey,
go ahead, John. What'd you say?
I'm sorry. I just said I think Vegas had us at 5 wins, didn't they?
Hey, they did. And George and I predicted 6. with the 7th win being the bowl game. And we said at the beginning of the season, listen, we'd be plenty happy with this because they're building this coaching staff. They're working their way through NIL money and trying to raise that up to a respectable level, maybe to the levels that Ole Miss has it. And then also working the transfer portal. And, I think these guys are going to do a great job, and they're going to attract a lot of guys coming out of the transfer portal. So if we can get the NIL money up to a level that competes, and I hate that because I hate the NIL deal. I hate there's no rules. I hope that at some point we get some rules in place. But at the end of the day, we got to deal with what we got to deal with. And at this point, it's raising more money to pay these kids a ridiculous amount. And maybe somewhere in the next 5 years, this thing will settle itself down. But yeah, that's how we're going to compete. And I think they're going to do a good job doing it. I think Hunter Yurachek, being at the head of this deal, is doing a fantastic job lobbying for the money. And then Sam and Bobby Petrino are doing what they need to do to put the product on the field, make it perform. If we beat Missouri and do show up with this final 8-win record, then I think the possibilities are unlimited. I think we'll have a lot of kids come our way.
I think that's something you can sell for sure, and that's kind of what it's boiled down to in this age of recruiting. You've always had to sell something, but it's always been, your education, your background, how well we're going to take care of you. But these days, it's about the money and the potential. NIL has a lot of critics to it, but with the way that our economy works, with the way that things are headed, your name, image, and likeness may be the only thing that's worth anything online. So being able to take command of that, teaching these guys how to control that, and who knows where this system goes, whether it's a fund sharing type thing, or if it, becomes more competitive in the upper, because the small schools are not getting the kind of money that the big schools are getting. And I would assume places like Texas and Michigan and Ohio State have some pretty big alumni base that, that gives them a little bit of an advantage. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and I think that's what every single college is doing right now. They're calling on their biggest donors. They're calling on their clout right now, just in this interim time before the rules get set in place. Because I think in 5 years we'll see this settle down a little bit. Like, you're going to have to be there for 2 years before you transfer. You can't just transfer every single year and look for the hottest ticket and try to get $1 million. So I think in the short term, I think if they can figure out a way to get this money from the big donors, and if the big donors could be guaranteed that whatever's left over from this goes to the foundation, as an investment in the foundation, I think they'll be comfortable with making those donations. But if you're trying to pitch them on just a total NIL deal, you're not going to get nearly as much money. That's why Hunter Yurachek talks about the collective, and he's after everybody, every Hog fan to give $50 a month or $25 a month. And I know that sucks. I mean, I don't want to do it. But the collective says, crowdsourcing is the way to go. And then that's how you fill that coffer to take care of these linemen and these other people that you need that are beneficial to the football team to win. And you got to have them just as much as you got to have the quarterback and the running back and anybody else. So we'll see where this goes. But right now, in my opinion, it's the wild, wild west for sure.
It is most definitely. I agree with what George said. I mean, the NIL might actually be the ticket that helps Arkansas, because on its own merits, the state doesn't per capita produce nearly enough of its own athletes to get the job done. And, I know a lot of people don't like the idea of paying a bunch of players. Arkansas being a state with one Power 4, 5, whatever we got school, no professional teams. I mean, it would seem like on its face that we should be able to compete, as long as you have the 85 scholarship limit in place where they can't just buy everybody up. It seems like Arkansas might be able to have a chance to compete. Who knows?
Well, and here's another thing too. I don't think they're doing a good enough job, and I think they'll get there. You got to go chase these $25 a month, $50 a month collective deals. And then they're also chasing the Tysons and the Walmarts and everybody else. That's fine. But what they're not doing a good enough job is, I own a small business in Arkansas, and I'd be willing to contribute, but I don't have anybody contacting me. And so what they're missing out on is they're missing on the small to mid-market businesses and just reaching out to them for a little bit larger donation than they would, an individual paying $25 or $50 a month. And if they would do that and help me understand as a small business owner, what's my money going to go to? Am I looking at paying one guy and I get a little bit of marketing from it? Or am I part of a collective where I get, it's like a golf tournament, that you might sponsor. If I'm going to sponsor you, what are you going to give me back? Do I get my logo here? Do I get, just something, anything? What do I get? They're not doing a good enough job of getting to these mid-market small business owners and telling them, hey, look, $10,000, you get this. For $5,000, you get this. For whatever the donation might be, here's the package. Just like the golf tournament you sponsor, which is extremely too expensive, but it's going to a good cause. So you donate anyway. You put a team in and you go play and have fun. So that's what they need to do. And if they would reach out to more people like me, I'd be in for it, but I'd want to know what the bang for my buck is. So yeah, it's pretty simple and they can do it.
Got to be a plan. Yeah. What do we, because I am so removed from all the press, everything. Are we doing the kinds of things as a program that is putting those things in place? Or is this something that is still kind of rolling out and we're having to find ways to compete on the fly? That's what I want to know.
Well, we're way behind, and I could say we're doing a pretty good job when it comes to the big boys. Like I said, we got Tyson, Walmart, we do have the big boys, but at the end of the day, we don't have the collective. That's what they call it, the collective. And the collective is all the crowdsourcing money. I call it the small money. But at the end of the day, you compare to somebody like what I'm comparing to was Ole Miss. If Ole Miss has $4 million in their collective, we've got 1.2. And I'm sure somebody will call me out on that. I'm close, but I'm not too far off. But if somebody wants to call me out and correct that,
yeah,
that's fine. But what I'm just giving you an idea of that's how far behind we are. And so that needs to be shored up, because when it comes to recruiting these people out of the transfer portal, you're going to the highest bidder. Somebody on ESPN knocked it out of the park the other day. They said, hey, look, if I'm offering you $400,000 and North Carolina's offering you $200,000, do you think as a responsible adult, forget the college student, would you take a $200,000 pay cut just because you want to go to Arkansas? No. You're going to take the $400,000 and do with it what you can. That's the job you're going to take. And I get it that it's down to the college kid level. But at the end of the day, if you can't compete and you're off by $200,000, you're not getting the kid. You may be off by $25,000 and get the kid, but not $200,000. So that's the world. That's the world. That's what we live in.
Yeah, it depends on what mama thinks. At that age, yeah.
I already know the answer to that question.
Show me the money.
Mama wants a new house. Hey, that's a new house for Mama, by the way.
Yeah,
so
you betcha. You betcha.
Yeah, you can't. So we have to get up there to where we can at least make a lucrative offer.
Yeah.
And then hopefully somewhere down the line, we start getting control of this thing. And I don't care if they do it like they do in the NFL with rookie contracts, and then, you can't leave for a certain amount of time. I don't know what they do, but they've got to put the ropes around this wild, wild west, because now, kids can go take the $1 million and hit the transfer portal again for 1.2. hit the transfer portal again. It's
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Hey, do
No loyalty.
you guys know on the name, image, and likeness on these agreements? I mean, is there anything that prevents these deals from having, qualifiers or stipulations involved with players? Like you have to meet metrics or what you're talking about. Is there anything that would allow that, or is that against? Don't know.
The way I understand it, these NIL deals favor the player in every single aspect. Like you don't have to make the grades. You don't have to hit specific targets in your football career. You don't have to do anything other than show up and play. You could be injured for the whole season and get paid. So as far as I know, that's why I say it's the Wild Wild West. I don't know of any restrictions or any regulations, maybe other than if they got busted for drugs or got arrested for a felony, maybe there's something in there like that. But at the end of the day, these guys are getting paid, and if they want to hit the transfer portal, they can go. It's unbelievable. And I totally disagree with the rules behind it. I hope they get that hemmed up, but right now it's crazy.
Well, I would at least love to see them, put in a stipulation that you have to play through the bowl game.
Yeah, me too. Or if you get injured, it gets cut in half.
Yeah.
Or maybe your replacement gets the other half. Or I don't know. I mean, just get something similar to the NFL. First of all, let's get the structure down, which would be NFL rules. And then from there, because we understand that college is only 4 years. So that being the case, NFL can go for 10 or 12 years if you play long. Let's just get the NFL rules, the structure in place. Then let's start molding that towards the college, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Some kids play 5, some kids play 6, depending on if you redshirt. So at the end of the day, you got to start with a structure. There is zero structure in NIL, and I hate it.
Yeah, well, and there's structure in the NFL. They had to
Well, they
implement
finally
that
did with
level.
free agency.
Yeah, they had to implement that level playing field for the NFL because big market teams like New York and Los Angeles and Chicago were able to pay so much more to players, so they had the salary cap. There's nothing like that in the in NCAA, which I think I'd want to play college football for 6 years at $200,000 a year. Hell, you take a pay cut to go pro.
Well,
Not
just think about it.
Football, but just in professional, business.
Yeah, but just think about it. If they put the framework and the structure in place, I mean, as the NFL migrated through this, I mean, we went through the salary cap parts. We went through free agency came first, actually, and then the salary caps, then the franchise tags, and all those kind of things where they limited these mega billion-dollar whatever NFL teams from outpacing the other teams. And that's what's happening now in college football. Now you got University of Texas, you got Ole Miss ahead of the curve, you got Florida, you got a lot of schools that have a lot of freaking money. And then some of these other schools that can't spend that kind of money, or their foundation may not be as big, or their foundation may have restrictions on spending that money for players, which I suspect is happening at Arkansas. But at the end of the day, you can't compete because the mega franchise is going to beat you with their money. And they've got to get that playing field leveled. They've got to get this $1 million quarterback thing under control for sure. But I don't know what to do about it. I'm not in that business, but I certainly could get in that business and probably make a lot of money helping them.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I mean, being a sports agent these days, you start early now, I would assume.
Well, the sports agents certainly don't want them to fix it. The sports agents are like, driving brand new Maybach Mercedes, brother.
15%.
You kidding? Jeez, that's easy money.
Yeah, for sure.
And they don't even have to play football.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think I did problems.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, all right, boys. I've enjoyed it. It's been a great Prediction Thursday. John Yates, you may have set the record for the longest Prediction Thursday ever in hardcore hog history.
Well, thank you for allowing, and it's been a pleasure, guys.
Yeah.
Hey,
Good luck.
it's been a great finale. It's been great having you. And let's hope our picks are close enough to win again next week. Let's go.
So
Let's go,
hard.
Hog. Whoopee.
Hey, where's my hat?